Hey, what's up, studs, and welcome to Ask MandR episode 252. If you have a question you want to answer on next week's episode, leave it down in the comments section below. It can be about anything, just not about the Waffle House, please. I think that's a dead meme at this point. But anyway, our first question comes from Jacob, who says, what set that's currently on shelves has been the best building experience in your opinion? And certainly I'll open this one up to the comments below as well, because you guys have probably, as a collective, obviously built a larger variety of LEGO sets than I have as a single person. So there's almost certainly better sets out there than what I'm gonna say from my narrow point of view. But LEGO designers do apparently put a lot of time and effort into how the building experience flows for builders, and it definitely shows. Generally, LEGO sets are really, really good compared to the competition, be it custom LEGO sets, be it mega constructs, or whatever other companies are out there. LEGO is usually the tip top in that department, and that's a great thing. After having built so many sets though, I find that most sets that I build are just smack dab in the middle. Like, it's what I expect. There's nothing special, nothing extra, and it's because, you know, you're so used to it probably. It's just you come to expect a certain level of quality for your building experience, and it's usually met, and there's nothing notable about it. I know you didn't ask, but one of the worst ones in the last year was the Yoda's Hut set, where you have to put down tons of little tiny 1x1 tiles. I also think the mosaics are equally bad, if not worse, because it's like 1,000 of little 1x1 studs, and nobody likes doing that. So those are a couple of sets that I would avoid if you don't want a bad time. But the set that I think I enjoyed building the most last year or so was the Inquisitor Scythe. I just found that one to be a really intriguing time to build. Like, it just had a lot of techniques and angles and things that I didn't expect inside of it, and I just had a generally fun time with that one. And it's also like in that size range where it's not like a grueling build. It's not like a UCS AT-AT, which can still be a fun build, but that's like gonna take you 20 hours to build, and like you might actually just want to split that up over the course of a month. Michael says, what are the chances LEGO will limit the May 4th promos to select sets like they did in 2022? So I think this has mostly become a forgotten thing, but I don't know if you guys remember, back in 2022, LEGO Star Wars did limit May 4th promos for the first time to only on select sets, I believe. Or maybe it was double VIP points. Maybe I am misremembering based on your comment. But either way, they came out with like this list of things, and half of the list was sets that retired like 6 months ago. It was the funniest thing I had ever seen. I made a whole video about it. May 4th was ruined. Maybe a little exaggeration there, but that's YouTube for you. But what ended up happening as a result of that video and fan backlash, they went and changed the list. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again. I do expect this May 4th to go smoother, but like, we can't put it past them because their past has shown they will just do the same thing over and over again. Nausha James says, if they release a molded Jabba the Hutt minifigure, will it be the same mold? If it is, I'm worried about my figure going down in value. I think you're worrying about the wrong thing here, unless you're like, you've got a ton of money tied up in Jabba the Hutt figures. Your one figure going down $20 in value shouldn't be something you're really fretting over, my dude. I'm gonna be honest, I think you're just a little bit too ingrained in it at that level. Like, when you're worried about 20 bucks about the one figure in your collection, if it goes down in value at all, you know, it's not like it's gonna be worth $0. It's still Jabba the Hutt. It's still a figure they don't make a ton of. Jabba the Hutt's worth like 60 or 70 bucks. If they release it in a $70 set, which it seems like they very well might and will, it's probably gonna be worth like $25 or $30. Yeah, you might lose half your value on that $70 character. If you're really worried about that, because it is almost a guarantee that they would use the same mold, sell it now, dude. But I also just don't think it's worth worrying about $35 like that. Plus, when you sell it, you're gonna lose like $10 to fees, so you're really only gaining $25. I mean, if that's what you're gonna worry about, I get it. Like I said, if it's your one personal collection Jabba the Hutt and you're worried about its value dropping a little bit because they release a new one, I just think you got your priorities somewhat in the wrong place there, but you know, it's totally on you. Like I said, if you're worried about that, I do think you should sell it now. That would be the time to do it. It's coming out, and I would not expect a new mold for Jabba the Hutt. There's zero reason for them to make a new mold. They can use the existing one. It's a dang near perfect mold that has the functionality that you want, has the design that you want. They know how to print on it. So don't expect a big mix-up for Jabba the Hutt. I mean, we saw a figure, I guess a good example of this is the Gamorrean Guard. They released back in 2012, kind of the new mold of that, and the same Jabba the Hutt came out that year as well in that same Jabba's Palace set. There's no reason, if they didn't make a new Gamorrean Guard mold, that they would go and make a new Jabba the Hutt mold too. So Blake B says, what's a funny story from your laser tag job that you used to work at? So a lot of my memories from this place are pretty repressed. I hardly remember much of it, because like most of the time I would work there, I'd be like, okay, 11 o'clock and I get to go home and play Call of Duty at night or whatever, you know? There are two things that have always stood out to me from my time working at Funtown. One was how they reprimanded employees for missing a monthly meeting. So I one time overslept a monthly meeting. Like I think it was either the first or last Sunday of every month they would do their monthly meeting. And the punishment for missing your monthly meeting at your minimum wage job, making $7.35 an hour or whatever it was that you don't get to work for an entire month. Now, me as a first year college kid, not necessarily wanting to be there, this was not the worst thing in the world. So I was just home making YouTube videos and playing Call of Duty instead of working for $7 an hour. It worked out very well for me, clearly. Rymar says, does your storage unit make a profit? You have to pay monthly fees on the unit, but are those sets increasing at a higher value? I actually don't know, and part of me doesn't really want to know. This is definitely a good question because it is like an opportunity cost of does my money having a storage unit make sense versus just selling all the stuff that's in the storage unit and dumping that money into the S&P 500 or something silly like that. You know, it would make a ton of sense. It would actually be a lot less time to put money in the stock market versus putting stuff in a storage unit, selling it online, boxing it up, shipping it. You know, there's a lot more effort in something like that versus the stock market. So from that perspective for me as well, it might make more sense. But the answer to your question essentially is I don't know, and I don't want to know because I also, with my YouTube business and everything and just doing my channel, I need the storage unit to be able to have a clear mind in my space and be able to create content on things that I want when I want. I think there's an added value there for someone like me versus someone that's just strictly reselling, where I want to have things on hand for when I need them. I want to have sets to be able to pull and do my comparison videos on when I need to do a comparison video, whether that's next year or 5 years from now. Eventually, I do want to phase out of the storage unit. That is a goal of mine. I don't know if that's going to be something attainable with the house that I'm moving into. It's a bit smaller than I had been looking at, and for good reason with the Orlando Brickco store opportunity that popped up. That's exactly why I ended up with something smaller than I had been looking at for the last 2 years, essentially. But if I could get rid of that $286 a month payment, I would do it in a heartbeat. Mouse Kapow says, what age would you like to think your content is aimed towards? I have always thought of YouTube, and when I talk into the camera, I'm talking to myself, or if I'm behind the camera, whatever, you know, at any age, from when I was 13 till now I'm 25, and I still always think of it kind of the same way. I'm talking to a peer of mine or to someone very similar to me, and that's just always how I have treated it. So I think of my content as aimed at 25-year-olds, but obviously a great portion of people that are less than 25 years old, and a pretty good number of people, you'd be surprised, that are older than 25 years old also watch my videos, because I run into adults all the time that watch my content, be it at the Lego store or at Lego conventions. And there's also kids that are rather young, younger than I would expect, because I'm not making videos necessarily that appeal to children. This isn't Ryan's Toy World, this is MandR's Lego World, and it's a bit different of a tone, if you can't tell, than a Ryan's Toy World video. So it always gets me when people are like, you make videos for children. I'm like, no, you've never watched a video made for children. You don't understand what a video made for children looks like. Hiya, kids! We got the Nintendo DS armor case kit from Lego Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars. You have to have this real stupid inflection in your voice. It has a clone trooper! Oh my goodness! I think we've all seen what videos for kids look like, and there's a pretty distinct difference between an adult collector talking about what he likes versus a video made for 4-year-olds. JP says, do you think we'll ever see minifigures of slaves like Slave Leia, Ula, and others again, or would it be too much controversy? There's a non-zero chance that they would rename them into something like Hut Slayer Leia. I think she's been renamed to, but I think Lego also doesn't want to do the bikini minifigure. I don't know, man. I'm very for it. I think it's okay. It's not controversial to me to have a character based on something in a movie from 1983. It's not a big deal, and I'm not 100% sure on this, so don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure that at one point Carrie Fisher did say it was okay. Maybe she didn't, but I do have this recollection of people commenting and telling me that, so it might be a thing. At the end of the day, though, regardless of you or I's opinion, I think you are right. I think it would be too much controversy for the Lego group to handle. And that's because a lot of these companies, I think, are soft in a way where they're a little bit scared of anything that could possibly bring them any amount of bad press. They will completely steer clear of it. I got my first Slave Leia minifigure figure when I was 9 years old from the 2006 Sail Barge, and I thought it was amazing. It was this great figure, accurate to the scene. That is literally the kid's point of view. Like, you get a figure that's cool and that you saw in the movie. What's there to be controversial about that, you know? If they ever do make one again, much like they did with the Slave One, they will change the name. They won't call her Slave Leia. They will call her Huttslayer Leia, like they do with Boba Fett's Starship. It's now Boba Fett's Starship, not the Slave One. That's just the way it is. But I think the only way we'll ever know for sure is when they come out with another Jabba's Sail Barge. Is there a Slave Leia in there, or is there not? That will be the absolute yes or no to our question. John C. says, what do you think if LEGO would make the helmet sets allow you to make both Phase 1 and Phase 2 for Captain Rex and Commander Cody? This would be the ideal world, and I've kind of allowed that idea to creep into my mind. I just haven't said it, and it's like, they could do that, but would they at the end of the day? We all know LEGO Star Wars won't go the extra mile for the prequels, or will they now? And like, that would be great if they did. I really hope they do. I would love it more than anything. I would be over the moon. I'd give them all the praise they deserve for making a move like that. I would buy 2 of each in a heartbeat. And if you think of it from LEGO's perspective, these are the first 18 plus prequel helmet sets. They want them to sell well, at least you would assume they do. They have definitely done things to hurt sales of prequel sets, and it makes you think they might not want prequel sets to sell well. But at the end of the day, the corpo big heads at Star Wars or LEGO would want everything to sell as good as possible. And what better way to sell more units of Clone Trooper helmets than having the ability to make more than one Clone Trooper helmet out of the set, more or less forcing a lot of people to buy 2 of them instead of just 1. Detective Cobra says, do you think LEGO will make Indiana Jones a theme again if the sets sell well, similar to when they brought back Harry Potter, and it is a mainstay theme again? Harry Potter came out and it kind of ran its 3-year course, and I thought it might end after 3 years, and it didn't. LEGO Harry Potter has done pretty well, and it's into its 5th or 6th year now of just continued sets. I don't think Indiana Jones is going to be the same. I don't think the fan base for Indiana Jones is as big as LEGO Harry Potter is. Even when Indiana Jones was available the first time, it didn't run anywhere nearly as long as LEGO Harry Potter. I'm not exactly sure why. LEGO could have just wanted to do other things. There's a million reasons. But the fact is, it didn't run anywhere close to as long as Harry Potter did. And I just believe that even if the sets do well, I don't think that Indiana Jones lends itself to something that they can do on a year-in, year-out basis for 5 or 10 years. I think for Indiana Jones, at the very least, obviously we're getting sets this year, but I would think we get like 3 years of sets and then they call it and they just make the money they're going to make and move on to something else with that like resource allocation, basically. Jonah Q says, do you think LEGO will remake the T6 shuttle as we see it a few times in Tales of the Jedi? Not because of Tales of the Jedi. It's actually supposed to be in the Ahsoka show, I believe. And because of that, I think the T6 Jedi shuttle is almost a guarantee for either a late 2023 or early 2024 set. It would be amazing. It's something that I know no matter what they do, everyone's going to call it overpriced, because the one in 2011 was overpriced. It was $60, 385 pieces, and I know price for pieces and everything, but a lot of people at the time, including myself, just looked at that set and said $60 is too much. And you can imagine now for a similar size set, they'd be charging $90 or something. So even if using smaller pieces, the piece count gets up to something closer to 600 or 700 pieces, it's still going to feel like it's too much money for what it looks like it is either way to me. I totally expect to see one, though. If it's one of Ahsoka's main ships she uses in the show, much like we've seen with The Mandalorian, getting all of the main ships from that, be it the Slave One, the N1 Starfighter, and his Razor Crest, like, yeah, the T6 shuttle should be, in a similar fashion, also a set. Green Brick says, how many misprints do you have, and which is your coolest or most expensive one? So this is my bag of misprints. There's, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 misprints that I have in my collection. Most of them are in here. Some of them might be like just in different bins somewhere. But there are some pretty cool ones in here. And we'll start with the Jango Fett's. You can see the blue color is just way too low on the front of the helmet, leaving a huge silver strip at the top there. And that is not supposed to be there. If you look at the picture of the actual figure, it's a much cleaner, proper look. So yeah, the Jango Fett's here. I have 2 of them misprinted. And the thing with the misprints, you say what's the most expensive one? I'll show you more here in a second. It's hard to know the exact value of these. Technically, these would be the most expensive because these are $300 figs already, you know, so it makes them just inherently more expensive. But I mean, a lot of it is just the buyer and the day, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. How much will any given person pay, you know, that type of thing. Another one of my favorites is the Mace Windu with the shifted down face print on my light up Mace Windu. I think that just looks hilarious. And I've got a couple pretty sideways prints on Kashyyyk clone troopers that I think look pretty funny. We also have a Airborne Trooper helmet that I think House of Bricks gifted me. I think the Airborne Trooper and the Carillion Hound. The Airborne Trooper is completely 180 degrees the wrong way, which is crazy looking, and then the Carillion Hound is just way off to the side. The only one of these misprints here that is like a really good misprint that I just had from my own collection that I didn't buy or get from some other source is the 2006-ish Chewbacca. I believe that I got this in the set and just never realized it at the time because the front of it looks completely normal, not printed. Like, it's fine looking, and I didn't notice it when I was a kid. But at some point, I did realize that I had this Chewbacca in my collection that has a flipped print. So you can see the bandolier is actually printed where it's not supposed to be printed on the back of the Chewbacca, and then it also has the nose printed onto the back. So it's a pretty funky looking Chewbacca. I believe my Kira minifigure is the one with the Yoda back print. For whatever reason, Lego printed Yoda's back print on the back of Kira minifigures. So I built up a pretty funky misprint collection, and it's something that I always keep an eye out on. But at the end of the day, it's not something I'm personally willing to pay a lot for. Like, when people want $300, $400, $500 for a misprinted figure, I'm just not into it. Like, I'm not buying that, you know? But if someone ever wants to sell me one and they're like willing to sell it for like $50 or whatever, and it's cool enough, like, I'd buy it for that. It's just, for me, it's hard to justify spending so much money on it when it is something that it's just a niche, small side collection for me that, like, if I can get it at the right price, which is under market value, yeah, I'd buy it. Otherwise, I just, like, it's fine, I'll admire it from afar. That is going to do it for episode 252. If you have a question for next week, leave it down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, hit the like button. And, oh man, I just can't, those Phase 2 or Phase 1 Commander Cody, Captain Rex helmet sets, man, I hope you guys are right with that question, that they do allow you to make both with both sets. That would be incredible, but yeah, that's just on my mind. I'll see you later.